Islam's possible retirement was recently mentioned by Makhachev's longtime friend and teammate, Josh Thompson. But he doesn't think Makhachev would hang up his boots right away after winning a second title. If the Dagestani defeats Jack and becomes a two-division champion, some supporters think he might ride off into the sunset, but Delmartina Thompson believes Islam would stay a little while longer. Makhachev might defend the welterweight title once, he said, but only if the opponent is genuinely deserving. Kamaru Usman was one name that was mentioned. The notion of competing against Islam has been suggested by the former welterweight champion. In terms of style, the matchup has it all. A chance for both guys to leave a lasting legacy and experience winning an elite wrestling championship. An additional possibility, Rakhmonov Shavat. In addition to dominating the rankings, the unbeaten Kazakh finisher has gained notoriety throughout the Caucasus. One of the most significant conflicts in that region of the world would be a confrontation between Islam and Shavkat, a titanic battle between two of the most composed and formidable competitors in modern mixed martial arts. I believe he will defend it once.
I think he'll defend it one time. And I think it'll depend. I also believe that if it's going to be probably like a Shavkat, I think it'll maybe be a Sean Brady. If Sean Brady gets past, who's Sean Brady? Ian Gary is there's talking that they're scheduled to fight next is Sean Brady and Ian Gary. So if he gets past him, yeah. I think if it ends up being like an Ian Gary, I don't know if he'll do it. I think he'll just probably be like, okay, I'm good. You know, I think he wants to fight guys that want to fight, not guys that run around. And so, like, Sean Brady will come forward and bring the fight. Shavkat will come forward and bring the fight. You know, outside of that, I mean, if it's Kamaru Usman, Kamaru said that he would fight Islam. So that kind of threw me off a little bit. But I mean, like, you know, they'll talk about it. They can make a lot of money. That might be a fight to have too. At 34 years old though, like, he understands that the time is coming, you know, and I think that he's somebody that also doesn't want to take a bad loss and be like, all right, look, I'm done. Yeah. Like, he wants to just be able to kind of go out on his terms. And plus, he's only got one loss.
Paddy Pimblett has a reputation for supporting his fellow countrymen. However, even national patriotism has its limits when it comes to Jon Jones. Paddy was asked to weigh in on Tom Aspinall's impending big heavyweight title unification fight against Jones, and although he made it apparent that he was cheering for Aspinall, he couldn't bring himself to wager against the man who many believe to be the greatest of all time. Paddy acknowledged he could envision the interim champion pulling off the key, upset and praising Aspinall's prospects. However, he finds it difficult to oppose Jones's intelligence and consistency. Pimblett watched Jones rule as a child. He is particularly impressed by Jon's ability to plan and execute his strategy with brutal accuracy. Despite his strong support for Aspinall, Paddy asserts that he simply cannot be critical of Bones. Even compatriots are given less attention when it comes to fighting legends, which may not sit well with supporters back home. However, it is difficult to disagree with Paddy. Aspinall is undoubtedly one of the most difficult opponents Jon has faced in his career, but Jones has defeated every opponent he has faced.
I can't pick it. I love Aspinall, lad, he's my mate and that, but I can never pick against Jon Jones. We've never seen him get beat. I think now if anyone's going to beat him, it is Aspinall. Aspinall could just knock him out and come out with his hands and knock him clean out, but I've never picked against Jon Jones. I've been watching Jon Jones since he became champ when I was a kid. You know what I mean? Since I started watching the UFC in like 2009, 2010. I've been watching Jon Jones ever since then, before he won the belt. I can remember watching the fight live when he got disqualified for the 12-6 elbows. That's how long I've been watching Jon Jones. And it's just the way he game plans. He finds a way to beat someone, and he works on that exact thing and how to beat them. But if anyone's going to beat him, it's Aspinall.
This time, Jon Jones is not merely on a media tour after landing in Dagestan. Russian mixed martial arts publications have reported that Jones will be joining Islam Makhachev and Khabib Nurmagomedov for intense training. He and Nate Diaz are presently in Russia filming the Russian version of Ultimate Fighter. And let's just say that he has been in the news for reasons other than the program. He has been seen getting into fights, getting intoxicated on camera and making a lot of noise. However, it appears that the journey to Dagestan was planned. In fact, Jones visited gyms, gave seminars, and worked with young boxers in the area. Years ago, under similar conditions, although neither Islam nor Khabib were involved in that trip, it is anticipated that the current and past lightweight champions will host him at their gym this time. Rustam Khabilov Jones, a proud Dagestani, and his former training partner from his Jackson Wink days, was the first to announce the visit. It is thought that the same sponsors that brought Jones out years ago are also behind for this one. Every MMA fan will want to view the training film that Jon and Team Makhachev may soon be making public, if we're lucky. Jones is already flying. Over here, Room stated in an interview with Vesnik MMA, a Russian broadcaster. He will be here soon. We're good friends, as you know, and we've been discussing for a while that he should come to Dagestan a second time so that he may have some sessions with the boys. Now is the moment. When asked who will be meeting with Jon, Islam or Khabib, Khabib responded, "Of course everybody will be here." Finish the quote. In an attempt to win UFC gold, Cha Sonnen responds to Paddy Pimblett's intentions for his next opponent. Paddy isn't merely relishing the attention following his significant TKO victory against Michael Chandler. His route to UFC gold is already being mapped out. Paddy is aiming high with his stock soaring and momentum on his side. Justin Gaethje is at the top of his list. He wants that battle next, a surefire conflict that would put Paddy's fortitude and resilience to the ultimate test. He plans to fight Ilia Topuria for the lightweight belt after that. However, he isn't discounting Arman Tsarukyan, a fighter with whom he has recently engaged in verbal sparring. Paddy says he would be more than happy to settle that score inside the cage, but the tension is still building. Now picture the intensity of a title battle between Paddy and Ilia. In addition to their tense past, these two European celebrities have enormous fan bases, diametrically opposed personalities, and exceptional talent. There would be mayhem. Paddy's fluid grappling and reckless unpredictability contrast with Topuria's technical violence. The event would be successful just based on the build-up, but the bout is one of the most intriguing the UFC could schedule because of the collision of styles. Don't underestimate Paddy versus Gaethje either. Justin's power punches, leg kicks, and constant pressure on Paddy's stumbling back instill confidence. That is definitely the fight of the year. One thing is certain, regardless of Tsarukyan or Ilia Justin, Paddy Pimblett is locked in and closer to the top than ever.
Paddy said he would fight Justin Gaethje, and then he would fight Ilia Topuria. Now, Ilia Topuria versus Paddy is one of the truest grudges that we have in our sport right now. And some of you might not have known about it, and the rest of you might have forgot about it. But that B-roll and footage exists. Every bit as much as Masvidal and Leon exists, Ilia and Paddy exists. Okay, great. But how do we get there? And one thing that Paddy said about his career, he said, "I'll fight Gaethje and then I'll go and I'll deal with Charles," was it? But he had a different idea. If Ilia won, if Ilia wins and that's the big grudge match, move Gaethje out of the side. He's ready for the title right now. Paddy called for a fight against an Armenian helmet. The Armenian helmet has said, "I will fight you." Paddy has now come up with a different plan that doesn't involve him. I'm just laying out the fact pattern for you.